Nick Cave, Bob Dylan, the Black Keys, The Clash, James Brown, Elvis Presley, the Grateful Dead. What do all these artists have to do with a violent pimp and a murder that took place back in 1895? Hey, I'm Bill from Happy Mag, and today we'll be delving into the mythic life of Stagger Lee, one of music's most mysterious and notorious characters. In 1895, on a cold St. Louis Christmas Eve, an infamous pimp known as Stagger Lee, real name Lee Shelton, fatally shot his friend William Billy Lyons in a local bar. Eyewitnesses from the night say Lyons attempted to steal Stag's Stetson hat, but Stag immediately reached for his .44, and that was all she wrote. But hey, I guess you don't fuck with a man's hat. Little else is known for sure about this relatively innocuous yet certainly unfortunate set of events. However, the story immediately entered into American folklore, and since that night, the murder has been refashioned into a musical, 2 novels, a graphic novel, a pornographic feature film, and most notably, over 400 songs. So why has such a seemingly unremarkable murder tale captured the minds of songwriters for well over 100 years? Stag's first appearances in musical folklore are almost entirely lost. However, respected musicologist John Lomax and various news clippings can confirm that there were songs being sung about the character's exploits as early as 1897. These songs were likely field songs, made up and sung by African American labourers to distract themselves from the monotony of their work. In 1928, Mississippi John Hurt recorded what some think of as the first definitive Stagger Lee song, the Ballad of Stagger Lee. The song is a rambling blues number with almost nothing to do with the historic account of events, including details about a bank robbery that our titular character carried out. And at this point it becomes apparent that Stagger Lee was being used as an archetype for a certain kind of villain. In fact, details of the real murder aren't the only thing that artists have taken liberty with. As is typical of the folk tradition, artists have altered the name of the character too. These variations include Stacker Lee, Stagger Lee, Stack-a-Lee, and Stack-o-Lee. It is likely that many of these inconsistencies are the consequence of information being lost along the grapevine, and as is often the case, replaced by a vivid imagination. As time went by, these inaccuracies became more willful and extreme, turning Stagger Lee into a surrogate that reflected the society of the individual writing about him. The traditional folk songs generally cast Stag as a cruel man that will eventually pay for his wickedness. I suppose they're moralist tales at their core, simple songs to discourage people from acting out in a similar way. However, by the time The Clash's Wrong and Boyo was released in 1979, the angle had changed. You can see how the anti-authority sentiment of that era, fostered by events such as the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal, had recast Stag as the hero. He was an outlaw on the run from an unjust law. Nick Cave's famously brutal take on the story brings the violence to the fore and adds a confronting dose of sex and perversion. It's notable for its lack of moralizing, preferring to fill the story out with the sort of graphic detail that would have seen it banned had it been released much earlier. All of these songs present different and contradictory versions of the Stagger Lee myth. The name has become synonymous with murder and killing, but tied to no particular narrative or perception of either. So it brings us back to the question, what was it about this particular murder that captured the minds of songwriters for so long? Well, over the years, Stagger Lee has been a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For some, his story has been an anthem for the dispossessed. For others, it has expressed fear of a dangerous criminal. For others still, it has glorified an anti-authority outlaw. Stagger Lee has become part of a shared vocabulary that is far wider reaching than the real-life story of Lee Shelton ever could have become. Stagger Lee is the boogeyman of folk music, a character that will never stop existing, because arguably, he never did in the first place.